Hi there, this is Sherry Schreiber of GetBetter.com, and I feel like this video has sort of been long in the making because I've allowed my subconscious to cogitate on whether or not, first of all, I want to talk about this with you, and secondly, how I wanted to present this material. I think by now a lot of people worldwide are thinking of me as the borderline personality disorder maven, the world's foremost authority on this topic, based on maybe an article or 2 or 10 they've read on my website, or some of my videos or whatever. While I feel very flattered about this, I'm not sure that I want to promote that ideation about me. I'm not sure it's true, first of all. I don't consider myself an authority on the topic of borderline personality disorder. I just write about what I know about, and I speak about what I know about. And that knowledge, that wisdom, that understanding has come about through many years of both working directly with core damaged people, which includes borderlines and narcissists, learning how to heal my own core deficits, and being exposed in my interpersonal world to people who had these same deficits. So I've stayed curious about answering some questions that I garnered along the way in terms of what creates these anomalies, what creates these disorders, what's the core of this disturbance. And that's all I try and present to you. And that's what I'm trying to present to you today. So I want to start off this video by saying, I just want to educate you more about what borderline personality disorder means to me. These are my opinions. These are my own theories. I haven't gotten them from anybody else. I haven't read other people's materials. I haven't researched any other materials online or read any books on this topic. Schooling did not teach me or any of the other students that went through my undergraduate or graduate classes about BPD. When I started writing about it years back, with Blackmailed into Fatherhood, there was almost no information on the internet about it. So you might say I sort of gathered information as I went along and insights into this disorder that I wasn't able to gain anywhere else except for on-the-job training and working directly with core damaged individuals, which, as I've already stated, includes borderlines and narcissists. And I want to start off by saying these are not bad people. Some of their defenses that help them survive in this lifetime play out very badly in their relationships with you and with others, in terms of friendships and romantic attachments. But they're not bad people. They're just deeply, badly fractured, broken inside. And they're doing their best to survive. And unfortunately, their survival, for the most part, has them unconcerned about yours. So that's just the way I see this. So please take this video as these are my views, these are my concepts, these are my opinions, this is my slant on this disorder, and if my slant on this disorder is congruent with yours, or it makes sense to you somehow as you're listening, then perhaps you'll gain some knowledge here today, and greater understanding of why you've been in so much pain in these relationships, or if you live with borderline personality disorder, why you've retained that pain, sometimes regardless of what kind of therapeutic intervention you have received or how long you've received it. And to me, that's a tragic outcome. Tragic outcome. So I see borderline personality disorder, borderline personality disorder as an outcome, a reaction, if you will, to having incurred primal wounds from the first week of life outside of our mother's womb. First week of life stuff. And these primal wounds that I'm referencing here are connected to infancy and early childhood wounding. That is the direct result of not being able to receive back from our maternal object, our mothers, nourishing, adoring, warm, responsive attention and affection that echoes for us how we feel about her. That bond that we form in utero, which I talk about in one of my other recent videos, that I think I spoke to that in my video about narcissism. That bond that we form in utero with our mother. We hear her constant heartbeat. We hear her breathing. These sounds lull us to sleep many times as we're developing as a fetus inside of her body. We co-experience all of her emotional states. Everything she feels, we feel emotionally. There's a permeable membrane between her and us, even though we're floating around this little sack inside of her. It's like this permeable emotional membrane. So all of her emotions are transmitted to us while we're developing in the womb. Once we come out of the womb, we form this incredibly intimate, close bond with her. As far as we're concerned, there's no separation between us and her. She is us, and we are her. We are one. We are one with her, which is oftentimes what you feel as you get involved with someone who's borderline personality disorder. You feel oneness with that person. You feel like, oh my God, we have so much in common. We're like two hearts beating as one. Well, this is what it was like for you in utero with your mom. Or at least the woman who gave birth to you, carried you for 8-9 months. So you're in love with that woman before you even leave her womb. You're in love with her. After you come out of her womb, if she was raised by a healthy mommy, somebody whole, somebody emotionally really healthy, happy, and whole, she would have been able to give her infant what he or she needs from her own bounty, from her own emotional supplies. She would have known how to choose a healthy, good, loving partner for herself so that her emotional baseline is constantly being replenished, filled up within that partnership, as she is doing that for her partner as well. So that baby then receives the full weight of that bounty that this mother has to share. She's happy. She's joyful. She's contented. She's a whole and happy and joyful and healthy, solid human female. But if that doesn't happen, if that mother doesn't have those resources inside, what is there to give to her child? How is that baby going to get its needs for comfort, soothing, warmth, attention, affection, adoration met by a woman who's living with these kinds of deficits? It's impossible. So, in my opinion, this is the crux, the very core of how borderline personality disorder gets started in the first week of life with our moms. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, that's so far-fetched, that's so bizarre, that's so outside the realm of anything I've been taught about this disorder, and people who haven't. But nothing else ever made sense to me. Nothing else ever made sense. There are plenty of females who've gotten raped during various times in their life, as adults, as teenagers. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, as youngsters, and they didn't end up having borderline personality disorder. Rape doesn't cause that. It's deficits in bonding, emotional bonding, and emotional attunement with our mothers once we're outside of her womb. That's what causes it, in my opinion. Okay, I'm wanting to make that perfectly clear to you. Don't think of me as an expert. Think of me as somebody who's asked questions about this stuff for probably well over 20 years to understand it. What drives it? What's its etiology? What implants this in people? So you might think of the borderline as someone who is, who is desperately hungry for nutrient supplies. Desperately hungry. It's like the baby comes out of the womb, and if you don't feed it, if you don't give it nourishment, it's going to have a deep, painful hunger inside, is it not? Well, I think of borderlines that way. They're carrying a deep, painful hunger inside, an unquenchable thirst inside, to have their emotional needs responded to feel closeness, warmth, connection, bonding outside of the womb with their birth mothers. And this baseline of supplies has to be very consistent. Has to be very, very consistent. So for the borderline, every romantic endeavor that comes along, for them, every person that they're attracted to, let's say, and interested in, has to fill up this hole inside of them. Has to somehow satisfy that deep, painful craving for nourishment, for food, for supplies that they missed out on in infancy. So then what we have, in my view, is a transferential issue. Anytime the borderline might feel close to you, she or he transfers those deep, primal, unmet needs of infancy and early childhood, this deep hunger for those supplies, which they are entitled to, by the way, but never got. they transfer those needs, those deep, painful needs, onto you. Those needs have nothing to do with you, incidentally. Their disappointment and dismay in the relationship with you has nothing to do with you. Any insults they throw your way have nothing to do with you. This is transferential stuff. If they say to you, you're selfish, you're cruel, you're an angry person, what they're really saying to you is, my mother is selfish. She was cruel. She was unyielding emotionally to me. I was never able to form a safe, trusted, nourishing bond with her during infancy or early childhood when I really needed it. They're talking about their mother to you. Now, these are usually not consciously held characteristics that they accept and digest and understand about mother. Because mother's usually somebody they've got up on some kind of pedestal because they see themselves their whole lives as defective and not good enough and not lovable. They never look at who the person is in the space with them that cultivated those feelings, even unwittingly, in them. They never look at that. I've had borderlines defend their mothers until the cows come home. Oh, my mother was a wonderful person. Oh, she loved me. I know she loved me. I know my mother loved me. How did you know this? How did you know beyond a shadow of a doubt your mother loved you? Well, because she baked your cookies now and then and took you to Girl Scout meetings. How did you know your mother loved you? What do you remember in terms of affection, warmth, adoring looks from her eyes into yours? What do you remember of those loving gestures of affection, of care, of adoration? What do you remember of that? So a lot of fantasy exists about that bond. A lot of fantasy. Now, doesn't mean mothers of borderlines are bad people either. It means they could not get the kind of nourishment, the kind of emotional resources they desperately hungered for in infancy and throughout early childhood from their maternal attachment that they needed. So there's no friggin' way on God's green planet they can give it to you. Not having a template for that kind of experience, not knowing what real love even feels like, not being able to receive those supplies. No way they can give those to you. No way. The underlying subliminal, subconscious ideation in the borderline is, and again, this is not consciously held, but the feeling is, if my own mother couldn't or wouldn't love me and give me these nourishing emotional supplies from deep within her, who the hell can? Doesn't stop them from desperately banging on your door to get them. Never realizing this is the deficit left by mother. This is the primal wound, the deficit left by mother. Does it mean that woman was a bad person? No. Just injured and damaged in exactly the same way you have been. Now, I don't treat borderline personality disorder. I've never treated it, nor have I treated narcissism. Those are clinical issues, and I have not worked as a clinician past my 6 or 7 years in private practice internship years and years ago. But I started working with core injured individuals back then as an intern because I worked very hard to understand and resolve my own core wounding from my own unstable childhood. And I invented and developed tools over the years that I used in my practice to help my clients heal, truly heal, not just get better, but heal in the ways that I had. This is really the characteristic of my life's work in this domain. I've done a lot of different things. I mean, I've done everything from soup to nuts practically. I'm fond of saying heavy on the nuts, but I've had so many different vocations and jobs, and careers, till I landed on this. This really was a calling for me, helping people heal. It was just really a calling for me. It's always been there. Strangers used to stop me in supermarkets, start telling me their life story, asking for my help with physical disorders they had. It was weird. But I finally started trusting that there was something in me that apparently had something to share with them, and they sensed it. And I went back to school at 41 to see if I could legitimize that talent, that ability. So your borderline disordered lover, be they male or female, will transfer onto you these deep, painful needs, this hole in their soul, so to speak, that was left by a maternal object, a mother who could not meet them. And so this deep, painful hunger, this deep craving to get that kind of love, adoration, nourishment from someone will play out over and over and over and over and over and over and over again with each new partner. And here's the sad reality. If they actually find somebody who can meet those needs for tenderness, for closeness, for warmth, for affection, for adoration, for respecting them and loving them, they reject them out of hand. Because that sort of partner doesn't bring up the deep, painful craving inside these people that they learn to associate with loving when they were infants and throughout their childhood. If I interpret this deep, painful craving as what love is, and I'm with a partner who doesn't invoke that in me or trigger that in me, those sensations, well, it can't possibly be love. How can I feel passionately about this person? There's no pain associated with this. Attachment I feel for them. So it can't possibly be love. It doesn't replicate what all I understood about love as a child. It doesn't replicate those sensations. So the better you love a borderline, the quicker they'll reject you. The quicker you'll be dropped on your head. Sometimes it could be years into the marriage or relationship that this happens. They just walk away from you. You've been a loving, supportive, caring, nurturing partner throughout the entire experience of that bond for them. And they have, in fact, gotten a few of their mommy needs met by you. And then they go through their natural development of separating and individuating from mother. This would be around pre-adolescent, adolescent age, if we were to talk in physical terms. So maybe after 13, 16 years, within this dynamic, they've gotten somewhat filled up inside because you have been the good mommy to them and supplied them with all those good resources. And now they're ready to go out and spread their little wings and get some excitement for themselves. And they usually end up in the arms of a borderline disordered partner. That's who they have that affair with. And then they come limping over to me, calling me during my working years for help with that excruciatingly painful extramarital relationship. And I try and educate them, as I'm educating you today, on what really is going on behind the curtain of their psyches. They've gotten the good mommy for a while. Now they feel relatively stable, secure, and now they're ready to launch. And invariably, they choose somebody who's just as damaged as they. I hope this has been educational on some level for you. Don't think of me as an expert in this arena. I don't need that. I'm not even sure I deserve that. I've just formulated my own ideations, opinions, concepts, answers about what BPD is and what it isn't over the course of the last 24 years, I would say. And you can take it or leave it. You can watch this video and say, oh, that woman's full of crap. She knows nothing about this. It's okay with me. Or you might say, geez, this is starting to make sense to me. And you might leave here a little wiser and have a little more understanding about why you're still licking your wounds in the aftermath of one of those affairs. In any case, I wish you all the best with finding somebody to help you dismantle your pain that's left over from your infancy experiences. That's what magnetized you to a borderline. Those primal wounds, those wounds to our sense of self, our sense of lovability and worth, that's what magnetizes you on a subconscious level to a borderline, and they to you. It's kind of like there's a similar imprint within each of you where on some level you sense each other's breakage and you're drawn to each other for that, and there's no friggin' way around it. So until you heal those primal wounds, hopefully with the help of somebody qualified to assist you with that, you'll keep attracting borderlines and you'll keep being attracted to them. Bye for now.